Welcome to How We Did It, a podcast dedicated to dentists teaching dentists. This podcast is powered by eAssist Dental Solutions, the nation's leading platform for outsourced dental billing and other services. All of the guests are winners of eAssist's Top Practice Award, who share their experiences, best practices, and what sets them apart in their communities. Their opinions and recommendations are their own, and you should consult with your own professional advisors with respect to your own practice. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of our How We Did It podcast, a podcast dedicated to dentists teaching dentists, featuring our Top Practice Award winners. I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Rick Crowder of Crowder Family Dentistry. Thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to be with me. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks, Alex. It's good to be here, and it's an honor to get the award, so I appreciate it.
Congratulations. All right, so initially I'd love to learn just a little bit more about you and your background, what your journey in the dental industry has looked like, and a little bit about your practice.
Okay. I'm more untraditional as a dentist. I'm actually a third-generation dentist, but I decided very early on that I had no interest in going into dentistry. So I kind of took a roundabout way getting here, and I practiced law for a few years before I really felt called into the family business, so to speak, and ended up going into dental school. I want to say when I was 28, I think, is when I started dental school. And so had a couple of kids and married, and my wife was in her career, and we decided to kind of uproot everything and move to Kansas City and go to school. So kind of going through school as a non-traditional student, I was kind of in a hurry, when I got out. I didn't want to, kind of take the time to do the associateship or kind of work through that way. I really was in a hurry to start paying back the work I'd put in and the sacrifices that my family had made. My dad was an orthodontist, and so when I decided not to specialize, and knew that I wasn't going to be returning back to my hometown, we just kind of decided, we're going to set up a new practice and hang out a shingle and go for it. So in September 11th of 2006, which I always joke with my staff and my patients, it's an easy one to remember and we can't really celebrate it, but we'll have our 17th, I guess. Am I doing the math right? 16th or 17th anniversary this September.
Wow.
So September 11th, 2006, we had one patient. And September 12th of 2006, we had one patient. And the 13th, we had one patient. And it was me and a dental assistant who had never worked at a dental office before, and a front desk who had just graduated college and had never worked in a dental office before. And we just kind of figured it out as we went along. Because obviously I had worked in orthodontic offices, but I hadn't worked in a general dental office. And so we just kind of slowly played that game. And I think we made $6,000 in September of 2006. And I remember calling a friend of mine who went in with his dad, and just kind of saying, man, I don't know, I can't imagine ever breaking even on this thing. How are you producing, $10,000 a day? That's just crazy. And here we are 16 years later, and in 2022, we finally broke $1 million in production and 800,000 plus in collections and have, several thousand patients and 3 hygienists. And it's just, been kind of a crazy little journey. So it is not the normal. I would be really surprised if anybody out there that watches or listens is like, oh yeah, that's exactly how I went through this. But God led us through it in kind of a crazy way, but it's been a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. There's so much to unpack there. Your story is so rich. And congratulations about 2022. That's very exciting.
Thanks.
I did want to ask you, what made you decide to make the switch from law to dentistry?
So, and I still have my legal license. I worked too hard to get it, so I'm not giving it up. But it's not. I don't keep it active. But you know, I tell kids all the time when they're in my chair or when I'm seeing them at church or different things. If you don't love what you do, it doesn't matter how much you make. Somebody can be handing you $100 bills over your shoulder all day long, and if you don't love what you do, is it really worth it? And my wife is a veterinarian. She's now a board certified veterinary dentist, but at the time she was still practicing just general veterinary dentistry. And I would come home at the end of the day, and she would come home at the end of the day, and we just had very different days. And I just didn't love what I was doing. Not that you can't love being a lawyer, and I know lots of just amazing legal professionals that love what they do, and I just didn't. And I was doing a lot of medical malpractice defense, and so the farther along I got, the more I realized how much I loved the medicine more than the malpractice. And one day my dad we were having breakfast right before Thanksgiving. I had a 2-year-old daughter, and my wife was 8 months pregnant with our son. And I was having breakfast with my dad and mom, and out of the blue, my dad said, "Have you thought about going back to dental school?" I don't know why he asked. Maybe he was donating money, as an alum, and he was thinking maybe I can ease up on donations or something. And I just kind of laughed because he didn't know that I was really struggling with what should I do for a career. And I said, "Dad, I'd be, 32 when I got out. I'd be 34 if I went into ortho." And he looked at me, and in the greatest parental wisdom of all time, he said, "Yeah, but you'd be 34 anyway." And I thought that's just a great way to live your life, to say that, I don't ascribe any value in and of itself to the longevity that I do something. I ascribe value to what it adds to my life, what it adds to my family's life. And you're right. I'm going to be 34, whether I love what I do or I hate what I do. So I might as well do what it takes to love what I do. So I gave notice at the law firm, and they kind of looked at me funny. And then when they heard what I was planning on doing, which required me to go back to college to get intro sciences, because I was a political science major. I had taken baby chemistry. That was it in college. Once they heard that, I think they were kind of relieved that they were getting rid of this crazy guy who was taking, I hadn't been accepted. I hadn't taken anything, I hadn't even taken the DAT. And so in December of 2000, I gave notice and started at Wichita State University, taking intro biology and organic or inorganic chemistry. And I think I had to take college algebra also, and just crazy. And then ended up getting in and starting at UMKC in 2002.
Awesome. Wow, that's such a great token of wisdom what your dad said, and it's cool to see how it's come full circle for you.
Right. It really is. It's really been fun. And for them, he's still alive. And now my daughter, who was 6, how old was she? She was 4, I guess, when I started dental school. She is now in her 3rd year at UMKC Dental School, and she's the 4th generation dentist. So she was taking classes in classrooms that I had taken her when she was running a little fever and we couldn't send her to daycare, and we'd sit in the back of the classroom. And so that's been kind of fun. And she'll actually join my practice here in another year, 2 years when she gets out.
Oh, well, congratulations to your daughter. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
All right. I'm curious to know your answer to this. Being a 3rd generation dentist with kind of an unconditional pathway, how would you define a top practice in dentistry?
Boy, I think everybody has to define it for themselves. I have classmates and friends that are, running multi-doctor, multi-office practices. I have some classmates that have, started their own DSOs or have joined DSOs. And then I've got classmates that work part-time. And so I have always placed a high value on my time. I've always valued my time more than my income. So what I look at as a top practice has probably changed some over the years too. And so as a third generation dentist, I looked at my grandfather, who was a general dentist back in the 60s and 70s. And then my dad, who was an incredibly successful orthodontist through the 80s and 90s and 2000s. And, for me, so much of my success through the early years was being able to take off to go see my kids play sporting events or do activities or be there for them, taking long weekends and going, camping, doing things. Now I also, I guess I've always kind of gauged it also in that I'm able to provide jobs for my employees, and that's always meant a lot to me. It seems like I've always had at least one single mother that's been an employee, and so you feel the weight of responsibility, I guess, as an employer, but also a lot of pride. And so, to me, as I've been able to hire more employees, I see that as okay. That defines a successful practice. And then once Kayla, decided she wanted to go to dental school, and then once she decided that she didn't want to specialize, that she really wanted to do the general dentistry and was going to come in with me, I think it's changed a little bit. And so now I'm looking at top practice more as growing this practice to build it so a second doctor can afford to come in, and that we can continue to grow, and we're in the process of hopefully building a new building here in the next few months, breaking ground on that to go from about an 1,100 square foot rental facility to a 6,000 square foot main floor, 9 operatory multi-doctor practice.
Yes.
And so the numbers become a little more important. And I think if I had, I was blessed having, my wife being, owning her own business also, and being a very, very successful businesswoman. So that maybe allowed me to not have to look at some hard metrics for a while. And so now that I've been at it for this long, it's kind of nice to look at those metrics, and then a little bit, I look back at some of the numbers from early on, and I think, why didn't I, implement some of these things a long time ago? But it's by owning my own practice, I've been able to develop it organically. It's kind of grown as I've grown. As I got faster as a general dentist, the practice got faster. And as I got more confident doing certain procedures, we started doing more procedures and placing implants or doing endo or doing, whatever it might be. And so it's just kind of grown organically. And now that my kids are mostly out of the house, and we're kind of ramping up for this new endeavor with my oldest daughter, I define it different now. So, I am looking more at the numbers and where can we go? How, what can our production be while we're still maintaining the level of reviews that we're getting, and just serving people, that's what I define it. When I see, I live within walking distance of my office. So when I see patients out in the community, when I see them on walking trails, when I see them at church, when I see them at the grocery store, I consider that a top practice, that I can walk down the grocery store and say, oh, that's a patient, that's a patient, that's a patient. That's fun.
Yes, for sure. I love your response. I haven't heard anything like that, and it's been awesome to see how your answer has grown with you, with the different stages in your life and the different stages of your practice. That's really great.
Yeah.
Along the lines of your community, how would you say you differentiate your practice from other practices within your community?
We're really, and I think most communities are blessed this way. They're just an incredible group of dentists, and I'm so proud of our profession. And one of the things I love about our profession is we still love it. You interview and you talk to medical professionals or nurses and they're so burnt out and they're so tired, and but you talk to dentists and just almost uniformly they love what they do. So you know, we I had an older dentist years ago when I first opened kind of make a joke about, because I was telling them I'm moving into this space. It's somewhat near where you are. I want to make sure you don't think I'm trying to compete with you. And she just kind of laughed and she said, Rick, we're not in competition with each other. We're in competition with Chiefs season tickets and the big screen TV and the all-inclusive vacation to Mexico. And I've really taken that to heart over the years that when it comes to the private practitioner, we're really all in this together. We're all trying to protect dentistry as a oral health provider, and as more and more of the corporate dentistry grows, there does come some, how are we differentiating ourselves from, as a private practice office from a corporate office? And it really, for me, has always come down to being a hometown. I have always said I want to be a small town dentist in a big metropolitan area. I practice in a suburb of Kansas City. Like I said, I live a half mile from my office, and when we build, we're actually going to be even closer than I am right now. So I will walk to work when it's nice out. And so my goal has always been to create early on a marketing program that just kind of flooded the area with the name of the practice. I was older already, and so I really didn't want somebody coming in asking how long I'd been in practice. People were going to walk in, see me with the gray hair, know that, he just assume, he must have been out for a while, not realize that, hey, you're the very first patient I've seen without a doctor over my shoulder. And so we really flooded the market early on, just with our name, our logo, our brand, selecting insurance companies that were in the community also, that were, part of large provider networks with employers near us, sponsoring sports teams, sponsoring the high school band, just getting out and about, doing visits to employers and health fairs and those sorts of things. And really, over the last 10 years, we have spent nothing on marketing. It's word of mouth. It's again, being in the community, so I think one of the things that differentiates me from other dentists in my community is I'm pretty sure I'm the only dentist that lives in the community also. A lot of them, they all live nearby, but they don't necessarily live in Lenexa, Kansas. And so that's always been, something that you're going to see me at the area, because I don't, live somewhere else and drive in to see my patients. I'm literally here, and I have patients that will stop me at church, and I always joke with the kids that at church I'm just your friend, I'm not your dentist, but if you ever have a question, you come ask me. But if you're eating candy or drinking soda, I'm not gonna, give you the evil eye or anything. But you'll have people stop you and say, hey, this tooth has been bothering me. Do you, can you take a look at it? Sure. Here's, let's talk about it. So that's probably how I've differentiated myself the most.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. So we are partnered through eAssist,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that eAssist helps the practice on the back end. Can you speak a little bit about what initially brought you to eAssist and how having eAssist has impacted your practice?
Yeah. So I want to say I started, and you may have this information on. Sorry, I should have looked it up. I want to say I started with eAssist in 2021.
Okay.
I believe, or maybe late 2020. But anyway, it's only been a few years now, and really, what brought me to it at the time was I had a front desk who was retiring. backing off initially and then retiring completely. I was moving a longtime dental assistant up front. She really was going to be excellent up front, but she didn't have the experience with the financial end, with the insurance filing, and so it really was kind of a nice synchronicity of being able to stumble across eAssist. The other thing that it did for us is I'm in 1,000 square feet. I don't have any room. I mean, we literally, we have 6 employees currently, and we don't have room to meet even as a staff. We have to sit up front in the reception room, and even then we have to roll a chair in. So I didn't have, if we're going to continue to grow and continue to provide services and continue, to try to increase profitability, we just needed the physical plant that we just didn't have to match the new employees. And so being able to partner with eAssist where, with Riley and Deb, and we can bring, these employees on, is how I've always thought of them. I've never physically met them. We talk to them every week and, on Zoom calls, and my staff, I think my front desk probably talk to them every day, all day, through the chat. They are, an extension of our staff. And so they have really been able to take over so much of what this very experienced, longtime dental front desk had been doing, and make that transition really seamless. It also really helped because the downside of being a local dentist and a small dental office is it's real easy for patients to get to you. And that makes it real easy for patients to ask, well, can you help me out? Can you give me a little discount? Does it cost this much? Can I make some payments? And of course, we always want to help people. That's why we're in this business, because we love it. And so our inclination, and even my staff's inclination, is always, what can we do to help you out? But as my wife has made it clear to me and my staff over the years, their job is to protect me from me, and their job is to collect money, because we've got to pay their salaries and we have to bring money home. And so one of the other things that was so beneficial about transitioning over some of this to eAssist was it just created a little bit more of I hesitate to say barrier, but you're just one more step removed emotionally. That makes it just a little bit easier to say, you know what, doctor provides a pretty amazing dental experience, and he's really, really good at what he does, and his hygienists are incredible at what they do, and they deserve to get paid for what they're doing. And so we're going to just have that contact. We're going to work with you. We're going to work with you to get paid. But just trying to create a little bit of that more formal administration.
Sure.
We never have this experience in medical. When my kids have had doctor's appointments, or I've had surgeries or different things, there's never a time that I go to the surgeon that I can even access the surgeon to say, really, it's going to be this much. Can you work with me? No, I work with the accounts payable department,
Right.
and I deal with them, and that can be so frustrating. And I didn't want to turn it over to, just a number cruncher that was going to berate my patients into paying. No, I don't want that. I still need somebody that reflects Crowder Family Dentistry, that fits in with everything we've talked about up to now.
Right.
That we are in the community. And that's what eAssist has let us do, which has also allowed us to, even try to, when we talk about competition, some of the things that the economies of scale can provide that I can't as a single dental office. I can't compete with the DSOs or the very large practices that have, full floor billing departments and insurance filing departments, and we all know that. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I an icon pop up that maybe you can hear me. Post pandemic, especially, insurance companies have really gotten increasingly tight on what they're paying for, and increasingly tight on what they're asking us to provide to even get paid.
Mhm.
And we can't afford to continue to be a profitable business, but also a business that is able to compete with the free exam, free x-rays, $49 cleaning um, corporate chains. We can't compete with that unless we control our costs. And so we have to find every avenue that we can to keep our overhead as tight as it can be. And eAssist has, I mean, we've just continued to use them more and more, and so shortly after using them for kind of the billing insurance filing side, we also added in the insurance verification, and that's been, I think that's one of the things right now that if I ever tried to take that away from my front desk, they would revolt, because we were just running into those times that we were getting claims denied because that wasn't approved. The patient couldn't do it, and the patient would have paid for it, and oftentimes the patient still did pay for it, but they had that bad taste in their mouth. It was that surprise bill instead of the planned bill. And so being able to have the insurance verification to where, as long as the patient gives us that notice that, hey, my insurance has changed, we're able to tell them pretty accurately, here's, we have verified that this is approved. Yes, it's okay for us to do these sealants. Yes, it's okay for you to be seen twice a year as opposed to 6 months and a day. Yes, it's okay for us. You do need an extra cleaning during the year, but it's okay. It's going to be covered. And just scheduling them instead of having to call them back, which, as we all know, helps just with patient compliance and keeping them in the loop and in the system.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. That's so great to hear. And I love how you touched on having eAssist allows you to kind of remove yourself emotionally, but also still foster those strong community relationships that you have with your patients.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah, it really has.
All right. So on to our last question, and I think you'll probably have a unique take on this with your daughter almost out of school here. So being a provider that has an established office, if you were talking to a recent dental grad who was wondering, what's next for me? Where do I go from here? What would be your advice?
Boy, probably just stay true to who you are. It's so easy in this day and age to get jaded, and to get discouraged, and we see such a unique cross section within dentistry. I've joked with patients over the years that all the world's problems can get solved in the dental chair. We see such an incredibly unique cross section of society, whether it's different genders, different races, different creeds, backgrounds, socioeconomic status, political views, and yet everybody always gets along, and everybody can have a normal conversation. So be true to yourself, and if being true to yourself means that, I'm young and hungry, and I just want to work as much as I can work right now. I'm 25 years old, and no kids, and I want to work 5 or 6 days a week and do whatever. Do it. That's there will come a time, I will tell you, that you can't do it anymore, that it's exhausting. But if, on the other hand, you look and you say, what, I want to, I need for myself and for my own mental health, spiritual health, physical health, I need to work these hours, or I need to provide these services. Do that too. Where I see the young dentists getting burnt out is when they come out and they join a practice that just doesn't match who they are. And we work really hard in dentistry, and there is no illusion that any of the specialties have an easy time of it. And especially in this day and age, we all are working hard. And I tell my patients all the time that when they joke about, oh, you just work 4 days a week, I tell them all the time, you don't want me working on you on Friday. You don't want me to do a crown on you on Friday. I would venture to guess that my diagnostic skills at 3 o'clock in the afternoon are very different from my diagnostic skills at 7 a.m. And so you just have to be honest with who you are, and make sure that you're in an environment that lets you do that. And again, if it's within a corporate dental office, if it's within a DSO, if it's, within a multi-doctor private practice, a family practice, I've never had another doctor work with me. So as much as I love Kayla, and I think Kayla and I are going to work incredibly well together, we haven't done it yet. And so she may have a different answer, in 3 or 4 years, and so we're trying to do our research also. And that's the other thing that I guess I would tell a young dentist, when you're in school, try to do that research, get out and shadow. Even though most of you shadowed before you went to dental school because it was required, get out and do that again now that you've been in dental school a couple of years, and you're not looking so much at the procedures being done, but look at the environment of the office, look at the physical layout of the office. What do you like? Do you need lots of people around you to keep your energy level up, or do you get peopled out really quick and you need a smaller office? Do you want an office that you're just doing the simple restorative stuff, but all the big stuff's getting handled by the owner, older doctor, and how's the buyout going to be? All of these things, factor in. But, we're trying to do that even with Kayla. I've got some colleagues that went into their parents' practice and trying to learn from their successes and mistakes, and kind of setting Kayla free also to say, don't rely on me. I feel like I'm a very, very good dentist, but I've also been out 16 years now, and there may be things I'm doing that I've gotten complacent on that you want to do differently. There may be ways to run the practice that I'm not doing as well as we can do. And so just trying not to hold tightly to anything. We don't have any golden calves in the office. I tell every new hire, there's nothing that we're doing so well that we tell anybody we can't ever do this better, so don't you dare suggest doing anything different. There's nothing we're doing that way. We're always changing, always grow, always learn. Find something, after you've been in it 10 years, find something new that inspires you within dentistry, that just kind of reinvigorates you. And now for me, it's bringing my daughter in. I think if she wasn't going to dental school, who knows what maybe I would take the practice into a real boutique sort of setting and start whittling down the insurance companies I was taking, or what. But instead, we're going in the opposite, and we're growing, and that's energizing, and that's fun. So if you're not having fun, figure out what it is that you're having fun, because you're going to be 34 anyway, so you might as well be 34 when you're doing something that's fun.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's such great practical advice that I think will really resonate well with our audience. I know the beautiful thing about dentistry is it's so broad, so you can find something new. It is always changing, and I just love the advice, especially that you're 34 anyways. A simple one-liner that we can all hold on to.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dad.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really enjoyed our conversation, and congratulations on your top practice award.
Thank you so much. It truly is an honor. We were really excited and proud to show it off and get it on our social media and webpage as soon as we got it. So we appreciate eAssist very much. And Alex, I appreciate your time today. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. This podcast is sponsored by eAssist Dental Solutions, a platform dedicated to helping dentists get paid faster and get paid more. Dental insurance billing services provided through the eAssist platform can relieve your dental insurance headaches, get your over 90 insurance receivables near zero, and help you collect 100% of what you are rightfully owed by insurance companies. To learn more about how the eAssist platform can help your practice or to schedule a free consultation, please visit dentalbilling.com.